Hello and welcome to another Every Tuesday tutorial. A few weeks ago I shared some tricks on how to create watercolor textures using brush pens, and this week I want to take you through some really simple watercolor lettering tricks using brush pens. So I've got 3 tricks that I want to share with you. Anybody can do these. These are super simple, and I'm going to walk you through all the supplies. There's a link right in the video description to all the supplies used here, so you can have access to everything that I'm using in this video. There actually really aren't too many. You need a water brush. My favorite is the fine tip Pentel water brush, and the type of brush pens that I'm going to be using are the Kuretake brush pens that look like this. You could also use Stationary Island's brush pen set. This is an awesome starter set. If you're just getting familiar with brush pens, this starter set's really cool because it includes all these colors and you get a water brush in it as well. So those are my recommendations. So for this, we are also using Canson watercolor paper. Once again, just click on the link in the video description. You have access to everything here. The 3 tricks that we're going to be completing together are the horizontal blend, so going from one color to another color throughout one word. The other trick is the vertical blend, so going from top to bottom and changing colors, like from here green to blue and then pink to purple right here. And then the final trick is kind of a shadow trick right here, where you can see that there's shadow between the letters. So I'm going to show you my little tip for that. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside, and we're just going to use similar colors for this because they're nice and vibrant. That's one thing I really love about these brush pens, is it makes your outcomes really vibrant, and they look just like watercolor, and you don't have any of the mess. You don't need a water cup or anything like that. So super simple. All right, so I'm going to grab my sheet of watercolor paper, and we're going to start off with a horizontal blend, so going from one color to another color over the course of a word. So we're going to replicate this one right here, going from green to blue. So I'm just going to grab my colors. Okay, so for this, I've got my green, my light blue, and my dark blue. So this one's a little bit easier to not use a base color with, which we're going to get into once we do the vertical blend. This one is a really good trick to start with, just because we're going to build in complexity as we move along. So I'm just going to do a couple of words in one color and then change to another color and then finish it off. So I'm going to do my first basically letter and a half with green. So I'm just going to copy this one right here, and then switch to the next color and finish it off with the last color. And one thing that I've found when it comes to blending, it helps with the blending going from that transition area. If you put just a couple of dots on the previous color leading up to it, it'll just give you a little bit of extra ink to blend right there. So now we're just going to grab our water brush. You're going to get some water on the very tip of it, so just give it a nice little squeeze. And I've got my paper towel over here because you want to constantly be cleaning off the tip, that way you don't muddy your colors as you work across them. So since I just have one color right here, I'm just going to come in here and blend the texture of that brush pen so it looks nice and watercolory. And I really love how these look. It's so vibrant. And now I'm starting to come into the next color, so I'm going to blend these little dots that I put in here so it seems like a more natural transition. I just have a little bit of extra ink earlier on, so that blend becomes much more natural. And now I'm going to clean off the tip, so just put it right on your paper towel and then come back in, and this will give you a better blend. And now we're fully into the light blue. Come down, and now we want to blend these dots that we put in here to make the transition smoother. You can even come and bring some of that water and ink further back if you'd like to start your transition earlier. Okay, so that is trick number 1, the horizontal blend. And if you want to make a more natural transition, just drop a few extra dots of color on the preceding color. And as you blend, just make sure you blend it fully so you don't see those dots, so they don't appear later on, which I can see a couple right here. So I'm just going to smooth that out. Nice and easy, and even up here. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to move on to the vertical blend. So I'm going to set this aside. The vertical blend looks like these two right here. So you start from one color and then you move into the next color as you move down the letters instead of across the letters. So this is an example, this one's an example, and this one's an example right here. So I'm going to grab the pink and the purple for this one just to kind of change things up. And I'm also going to grab a neutral color. So I'm going to use this one as my base color because it blends easily into pink and purple, so it won't be obvious when I color on top of it, but it'll give me a base lettering. That way it's not weird when I'm blending everything together or figuring out where to put my extra colors. Okay, so I've got my colors right here. I'm using this one as my base, so I can just write out blend right here. Okay, and now what you're going to do is just grab your top color and you're just going to put a little bit of color on the tops of your letters. And I want to bring it down far enough so I get the really tops of these ascenders, the X height of the ascenders. So I'm going to put my pink up at the top of all of my letters. Okay, and then you're just going to go in with your bottom color and do the exact same thing, only on the bottoms. And you're going to leave space in between them. You're not going to let them touch. So the area between the two colors where you're not letting them touch, that's your transition area. That's where you get the really pretty blend between the two. Okay, so now we're going to come in, and after each letter, you're going to wipe off the tip of your brush. That way it looks consistent all the way across as you blend. So we're going to do the same thing as before. So up at the top, it's going to be very pink. And I'm even going to grab the top of this B right here before I start getting into my purple. And now I can bring in the purple, and you want to make sure you're bringing color upwards so you get that nice transition area. And you want to make sure you're still getting the nice dark rich color at the bottom. And I'm going to wipe off the tip and then start the exact same way with the next color. I want to make sure I'm preserving that really vibrant pink up at the top. If I have a little purple still on my tip, then it's not going to be as vibrant. Okay, so that is the vertical blend trick. So for the last trick, we're going to add in that nice shadow, which you can see right here, and I have another example right here. So we're gonna walk through that. For this one, I had a light pink to dark pink blend, and then I put in the shadow. And in this one, I just used one color and added in the shadow. So this one, once you get comfortable with the horizontal and the vertical blends, then you can apply this third trick to them. But make sure you get it comfortable with these ones first before moving on to the shadow blend. So we're just going to keep things super simple. We're going to use one color and add that blend in. All right, so for this one, I have a light pink and I have a dark pink. The dark pink's going to be for the shadow areas, and the light pink's going to be for the rest of the words. So I don't need to put any base lettering down. I can just use my light pink as my base. All right, and now you can go in with your water brush and just blend it so it looks like watercolor. Okay, so once you have this all blended and looking like watercolor, now you want to allow it to fully dry before you add in the shadows, because if you add it in too soon, it's going to blow out into your actual letters. You're not going to be able to contain it right between each letter. So just make sure that's fully dry before you move on to the next step. So you could come in with your brush and just brush a little color between each one of these and then blend it. You could definitely do that, but it's going to look a lot darker and less natural than this trick that I'm going to share. So my trick is you grab a scrap sheet of your watercolor paper. So I just have a little square of scrap watercolor paper, and I'm just going to color on here with my brush pen. So I'm just getting a little bit of ink on the scrap sheet, and then I can come in with my water brush and get it wet and get some ink just on the tip of my brush, and then I can bring that in between each letter, and that will give me a far more natural appearance of those shadows rather than these really dark strokes in between them. So with a little bit of color on the tip of your brush from your scrap sheet, now you can come in and blend right in between your letters. Okay, so that is the shadow trick using brush pens to create a watercolor lettering effect. So here are our 3 different tricks. We've got our horizontal blend, we've got our vertical blend, and we've got our shadow blend trick. So that is 3 watercolor lettering tricks using brush pens. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe and don't forget to head on over to my blog, every-tuesday.com, for even more design tutorials and lettering freebies. And if you'd like to see more artwork like this, head on over to my Instagram. My handle is @everytuesday. And once again, the links to everything mentioned throughout this video are just right in the video description. Just click that link and you'll have access to everything. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.